There we go. Okay, boom. Yes, sir. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a great guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than our Brother Juan. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam, warahmatullah wabarakatuh. How you doing, Brother Joshua, sir?
I'm doing phenomenal, sir. All right. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast.
Man, I'm honored to be on the People's Podcast, brother. You got one of the most positive podcasts that is circulating on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and X and Facebook. So I'm honored to be here.
Praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, the first question that we have for you is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
When I first heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was in the belly. I got sentenced to 123 years and 2 life sentences back in 1983, December 14th, 1983. And there was a brother, when I got to the belly, his name was Brother Talib, Shabazz Muhammad. He invited me to a Juma services, I think within like a couple of years of me being incarcerated. And that was when I first got heard the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Okay, Brother Juan, how do you get out of being sentenced to 2 life sentences?
Well, bro, I spent 27 years incarcerated. The sentence was actually a death sentence. You know, they never intended for me to actually get out from under the sentence that I had. But while there, I was studying law. The entire time I was there, I was studying law, civil and criminal law. So I was challenging my conviction as well as helping other brothers who were there challenge their convictions and file civil actions. And I was challenging my conviction, and some lawyers saw some pleadings that I had wrote. They were federal public defenders. They took my case. We lost the aspect of me appealing my case through the appellate process with the lower district courts, the state court, and then the Supreme Court, and then, of course, the federal district court, and then the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. We lost. But however, since they were representing me in my criminal appeal, they decided that they would seek to try to give me a pardon through the governor. After all of my appeals were denied. They did all the legwork, made all the contacts that needed to be made by Allah's grace and mercy, and got me on the pardons board. So I got on the pardons board November 14th of 2006. And all of my sentences that I had that were aggregated and separate were collapsed into 1 life sentences, which the life sentence permitted me to go to the parole board in 3.5 years. And I went to the pardons board. A few years later, I was out by Allah's grace and mercy. Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir. My goodness. Okay. Well, what advice would you give to the younger generation about, avoiding going to prison?
My advice would be, you have to be able to, regardless of what type of talent you may be, or anything like that. I was a phenom in music. I was a phenom on the basketball and court and the baseball court. But at a young age, I believe maybe 12, 13, I started smoking marijuana. In the course of me smoking marijuana, it accelerated. I started, with marijuana. The next thing, a few years later, I think I experimented with cocaine, some pills that I was taking at that particular time. So, although I had all this talent, I was experimenting. I didn't have any knowledge of myself, and not having any knowledge of myself through the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I was always seeking something outside of myself that was actually deposited in me from the very inception when I came out of my mother's womb, or while I was in the womb being formulated. And so what I would suggest to all young men, you have to stay sober-minded. And when I say sober-minded, none of the drugs, but also you have to stay focused and disciplined where you don't allow any external distractions, because there can be so many distractions as a teenager, particularly in this day and age. That when I came up, it wasn't the same. I came up in the 80s as a teenager, the 70s. It was totally different challenges. Now with the advent of the computer, the kids have information at their fingertips at a whims. With me, we had to go to the books to learn anything. So what I would instruct the young men to do is seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. That would be my answer to that. That way they'll get a better understanding of themselves. That way they don't have to get artificially stimulated to feel good about themselves. And I think that was my trouble. I had to be artificially stimulated in order to be able to feel worthy about myself. That's it, Brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Some people are showing you love in the comments. Sister Miriam, Sister Naima, thank you all, family, and can't wait to upload this to YouTube as well. I wanted to ask you what when I met you this past weekend, we're going to address that. I mean, I'm in my mind, I'm tall, but I could tell that you were an athlete. What position did you play in basketball?
I played multiple positions. I used to jump center. I used to jump center, but I wasn't the tallest guy on my team. I just had a 42-inch vertical. So
Okay.
they would allow me. I was more of a swing man, like a 3 or a 2.
Okay.
When I went basketball. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, how was it coming from being incarcerated, back into society? How was the transition?
It was so seamless, would be the one word used to articulate how it was for me. A lot of people say they struggle with certain things when they get out. But while I was there, I was already working on computers. I had constant contact with the prison reform ministry here in Las Vegas, Brother Derek Muhammad, and his name is now Brother Salim, but it used to be former Brother Duke Muhammad, who was the student minister over Mosque number 75. Those brothers were a great help. Brother Derek Muhammad would come up to the prison frequently. But I also had assistance from the National House and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's National Prison Coordinator correspondent, Sister Sanji Ali Muhammad. She greatly. Some other sisters that I'd have to look at my notes to actually see that they were, Sister Aliyah Muhammad out of the processing department. She was a great help.
Yes, sir.
So they would send me any material that we needed, final calls, study guides, books, some DVDs. So by me having the opportunity to study the teachings while there, as soon as I came out, my first obligation was to report to the mosque. although I started studying the teachings in 1994, as you know, you're not really a registered Muslim until you complete the process. So upon my release in April of 2010, after 27 years, I reported to Mosque number 75 and completed my processing class in order to get my X. So I think this is my letter right here. You know, basically saying that my letter had been approved by the national laborers, by the laborers of Islam, and hoping to be approved by that was June 1st, 2010.
All praises.
Yes,
Go ahead, Brother Juan. And Brother Nelson Ramos says, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, family. Okay. Now, how did your family and friends feel about you accepting the teachings?
When I came out, I had lost my father. I lost my father in 1997. August 2nd, 1997, I lost my father. So I'm a father. My son was born while I was actually incarcerated. I got incarcerated, I think it was April of 1983, and my son was born July 14th of 1983. So I was absent from my son's life for 27 years. So he had started his family. My mother was still alive, and being who my mother is, my mother was she was always a woman of truth. So when she found out I had accepted Islam, even while I was incarcerated, she used to always tell me, she said, whatever you do, don't compromise. You know, so I held on to that, and I still hold to that.
Beautiful, yes, sir. Okay, well,
yes.
Let's speak about your son. How was your relationship with your son and being a father? How has that impacted you?
It's amazing how well he's done. He's 40 years old now. So he's a grown man, and he has his own children. So
yes, sir.
He works 6 days a week. He takes care of his family. Has never been in trouble with the law. So, me and him relationship, it had to go through like a transition. Of course, I wasn't there. So I wasn't there to teach him how to ride a bike. I wasn't there to teach him how to shave as a man. So he had to learn things about me, and I had to learn things about him as a man and who he is today, and vice versa. But the relationship now is probably stronger than ever at this stage. All praise due to Allah.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, this past weekend, I had the honor of meeting you, Brother Juan, in person. I felt your spirit. You're a powerful, strong brother and sincere believer. I felt it as soon as you gave me the greetings and you had your kind words to say. How did this weekend? How did it feel to be, in Phoenix among the believers? How was this weekend? How was that this past weekend?
Man, it's always a beautiful thing when you can go to and see some other believers in another city and see the amount of love expressed. That's one thing that Islam does. It unites the black man and the black woman. I'm talking about, so if you say you're a part of the Nation Islam, you can go anywhere that's in the world that has a study group or has a mosque, and you'll be accepted just like you were from that city. So I may have gave love, but I felt the love reciprocated as well. The brothers from number 32 received us while we was there. So all praise is due to Allah for the love they gave and expressed us while we were there.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. And his name says all praise is due to Allah. And thank you, everyone who was watching. I wanted to ask you about fear, sir. Have you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
And I've been faced with fear numerous occasions. Pre, teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I think at that particular time, I was not privy to the study guide what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan put out relating to fear, and that you don't face the fear and summon your will to overcome that fear, then it breaks down your will. I think initially, before getting that information, when I would be fearful of certain things, I would turn away from it and run. I think that deteriorated my will somewhat and weakened my will. But once I received that instruction and that guidance from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, I don't fear but Allah.
Okay. Yes, sir. Perfect. And thank you all for watching. All right, waiting on Brother Juan, you back?
Yeah, we had a disconnect there, something, Brother Joshua.
Yes, sir.
But what I was saying is that, now that I've received that guidance from our minister Farrakhan, if I'm faced with fear, now I summon my entire being to overcome whatever obstacle that's placed in my path. I don't fear anything but Allah. What Allah outcome is, I'm willing to deal with at this point.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay. Brother Juan, I wanted to ask you about love. Once you came, you no longer incarcerated, did you want to get married again? Did you find it like, was dating different from back in the day? Then you come out, I was courting. What was that like? That process like?
I went to prison at such a young age. I got locked up at 19, and so all of my 20s, all of my 30s, and a part of my 40s was spent incarcerated. So I never really understood how to really have a relationship because I was young. I was basically a teenager. So I didn't really understand the dynamics of what a man is in a relationship with a woman. I had to learn that. It was a learning process for me. Of course, while studying the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is taught by Mr. Lucifer, and you have guidance from the Quran. The Quran tells you that men are the maintainers and protectors of women, and so by me coming to that understanding, of course, I want to try to get married. I want to find. They say marriage is half your faith.
That's right.
I didn't feel like I would. I didn't feel like I really be till I found that special queen in order to be able to.
Okay, waiting on our brother to come right back. Thank you, brother Kwani. Watching, this is the first time he's watched since the Do or Die interview, so he must really show love to our brother Juan. All right.
Yes, sir. I think this area is kind of like a bad connection. That's probably why we keep getting cut off. But alhamdulillah,
Yes, sir. I can't see your face, brother Juan. I can't see you. I can see your name, but I can't see your face. There we go. Got you, brother Juan. We're right here with you.
Okay. So when I first came out, it was different, Of course, in the nation, we court, we don't date. So I came out and 2010, and it wasn't until 2018 that I actually got married.
Mm.
So alhamdulillah, met a beautiful sister. We married. She just recently went through the processing class and got her ex, and she should be graduating this Savior's Day. So, but it was a process. My communication skills wasn't too good because I had never been in a serious relationship really. So it was certain things that she had to help bring out of me and prune out of me in order for me to be able to be an effective communicator, where I wouldn't shy away or run away from a particular conversation that needed to be had. And so it was a learning process, definitely.
Okay, yes, sir, yes, sir. And
Yes,
what advice would you give to future husbands?
Put your ego away in your pride. I think it says in the scripture, pride goes before destruction and the haughty spirit before a fall. You know, sometimes as men, we think it's supposed to be my way or the highway.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
But relationships are different, you know, particularly when you're dealing with a woman, you're dealing with the second self of God. So she's not your woman, she's God's woman. And I think we, as men, we have to understand what her role is. You know, if we look at the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and our mother Khadijah Muhammad, they're the epitome of a successful marriage and relationship. You know, they've been together for 70 years almost.
That's right.
You know, when you look at that relationship and that marriage, that should be the standard bearer for any man. The way the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been with Mother Khadijah. So I would just say, keep your eye on Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Go ahead and teach, Brother Juan. And thank you, everyone who's watching. We have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. We're grateful for every like, share, and subscription. Thank you all. And as well as every Cash App that we get and receive on the People's Podcast. We truly appreciate it. One moment, and we're coming right back to our Brother Juan out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Any other services? Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, and now Spanish book. All three available on Amazon.com. Sister Naima's Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studios of Atlanta Dress in the Best of Fashion. Brother Kenneth's Bow Tie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship you bow ties anywhere across the nation. Henry Carter's King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad's COVID-19 Disinfected Cleaning Services, out of Chicago. Student Minister Sharif Muhammad's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, available on adulsharif.com. And lastly, Brother Joshua Muhammad's book, Cleopatra, as well as No Father, No Excuse, both available on Amazon. Any of those services.
Okay, perfect. 1 second.
Sister Miriam's.
Here we come right back to our brother. As well as Sister Sherry Muhammad and Asiatic Minds. We thank you all very much for your continued support and sponsorship. Please enroll your children in AsiaticMinds.com. They teach STEM virtually to young kings and queens all around the world. AsiaticMinds.com. Yes, sir. Brother Juan.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask you about your greatest joy in life.
My greatest joy in life are my grandchildren. I get so much joy out of seeing how intelligent they are. It's amazing. You know, it's certain things that as a, you know, as an old person, that the young people, they're able to do with, you know, with the computers and the tablets and the phones that, you know, even old people haven't learned how to do that yet. But if you, you know, they start them out with those tablets and those telephones at a young age, and well, you realize they have exceeded what the adults know and how to do stuff with their telephone. They're teaching them. So I would say it's my grandchildren. But also, I have a passion for seeing our people uplifted when you share knowledge with them. I don't think you can have any greater joy than you see a transformation taking place right before your eyes when you give somebody some of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is taught by our Minister Louis Farrakhan, and their eyes start to light up. They start to talk different, start to walk different, start to look. That's a great joy as well.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Well, I wanted to ask you, what type of music do you enjoy, sir?
I love jazz. I came up in the 60s and 70s. My father was a big jazz guy, so he would listen to a lot of the old school guys, Earl Klugh, the Crusaders, Jimmy Smith, Bob James. And so I grew up listening to jazz. And so I think even still to this point now, I love jazz music.
Yes, sir. You can't go wrong with jazz.
Yes,
Now, Brother Juan, that number, 2 life sentences, 27 years time served, that had to be, for you to keep going and come out with your spirit as strong as it is, faith had to be a part of that journey. What advice would you give to all of us about keeping our faith strong?
You know, when you're in a situation where hope seems so dim, no light seems to shine in a dark place like that. So in order for one to come up out of the darkness that they may be in, whether it's a physical state, mental, emotional, financial, you have to believe that there's a force greater working in your favor than the force that's working against you. And once you get an understanding of that, you have to work the faith. The scriptures, I believe, says faith without works is dead.
That's right.
You know, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, and I think it's in our Supreme Wisdom lessons. You know, we've tried to spook God.
That's right. Mystery,
you know, and we got nothing from that. So we don't wait on something that we doesn't know exists. So once I get off my prayer rug and make my prayer, then I have to go to work to manifest that which I particularly prayed about. While I was there going through what I was going through, I was working. You know, when I say I was working, every prison that they would ship me to, and a lot of the transfers that they start transferring me were based on me. They not wanting people to hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by our Minister Louis Farrakhan. So they would take me on one yard, lock me up, fabricate a basis why they're transferring me and send me to another institution. And I went through that for an extended period of time before I was eventually released. I'm talking about lied on, that I was trying to escape, lied on that we was attend the riot. and what's so even ironic, for 9/11, 2001, when that incident happened, I was one of the first ones they took off of the general population. I was in the general population when that happened.
Mm.
They locked the prison down, and after they locked the prison down, 3 or 4 hours later, they came pick me up and like 6 or 7 other Muslims. But most of the Muslims that they picked up were from the Nation of Islam. You only had 2 guys that wasn't from the Nation of Islam, and both of those had Muslim names. One of them was from Egypt, and the other guy was from New York. But when they came like gangbusters. 15 of some of the biggest Caucasian men that they could possibly find with their, with the security gear on, dogs, just for one man.
Mm.
You know, now, I was incarcerated. I didn't have anything to do with 9/11. So what was the basis behind what they were trying to do with removing us? And what was in Satan's mind when this whole thing with 9/11 transpired? Now that the truth is coming out about 9/11.
That's right.
You know, why would you come get us from the Nation of Islam? You know, Elijah Muhammad teach us we don't carry nothing as much as a penknife. So why would you come get us? And we're in prison. We ain't flew no planes. If that's what even really happened.
That's right.
Yes, I said that to say, we have to understand that there's forces that are working to prevent the rise of the Black man and the Black woman here in the hills of North America and all over the world.
Yes, sir.
So with that in mind, we have to work from KC dusk to KC daylight. So when I say work, man, I'm talking about, man, there's so many people that still haven't heard the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad is talking about, and many have. Many are called. It said many are called, but few are chosen.
That's right.
So while I was there, man, it was a fertile ground. I didn't even really realize some of the impact that I may have had on some of the guys that were there when they said that when they came to the chapel on Friday for Juma service and listened. I'm like, man, you don't even know what you got me through at that particular point.
Go ahead, Bro Juan.
I think it's a beautiful thing and I think that's why Allah has really been merciful to me. Because I work the program. I still been out there pushing with the final call, even though this body ain't what it used to be. But I still try to put in work, man, to try to get the word out to our people with the Final Call newspaper, which is the greatest tool and the #1 program that we have in the Nation of Islam is the Final Call newspaper.
Go ahead. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now, Brother Juan, we have one more question for you. And first of all, I want to say on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, that we thank Allah for you and all of the sacrifices that you have made and the sacrifices of your family as well. May Allah continue to bless you all. We truly appreciate that, appreciate you, and we salute you, sir, for all of the work that you have done and continue to do. May Allah continue to bless you. I want to know, what would you like your legacy to be, sir?
My legacy, I would love my legacy to be that I strove hard in the cause of Islam. I was, man, from 1994 when I actually started studying the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, until I got out of that place. And even to this day, I've suffered. But in the suffering, you still receive blessings. So in that regard, it's easy to make a good man look bad and a bad man look good.
That's right.
So I would just pray to Allah and the personal master Fard Muhammad and his Magdi, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and their Messiah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that I'm worthy to see the hereafter.
Yes, sir.
That's what I would love for my legacy to be. That I was a worker striving in the cause to try to get up and through into the hereafter.
All praises to Allah. Beautiful. Well, yes, sir, and that's a great legacy to have. Inshallah, I will see you soon again in person, Brother Juan. We gotta make sure we get a picture this time. It was an honor to meet you in Phoenix, and may Allah continue to bless you all, bless you and your family, and the believers of Las Vegas. And thank you all everyone who was watched and watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, I appreciate you as well, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, beloved. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bless your family. Yes, sir.